Hello, we're live. How you doing? Can't hear you, Katie. You have to unmute.
There we go. Hi there. Hi, Felicia.
Hi, Katie.
All right. And hello, viewers. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on this rainy Tuesday evening for today's episode of the PAC Chat. I am Katie Rivera, Board Secretary of NJ5 PAC, and I'm your host for today. And tonight I'm joined with Board Chairperson Felicia Malelli. We have Legislative District 5's full district candidates who will be joining us very shortly for a live interview as we move ahead with publishing the NJ5 PAC endorsement for all three candidates. For your information, Legislative 5 covers Camden and Gloucester County. I hope I'm saying that okay. If this is your first time tuning in with NJ5 PAC, welcome. And if you are returning, welcome back. Before we dive into our chat, I want to give our viewers some information on A, who we are at NJ5 PAC, and B, what the NJ5 PAC endorsement means. So beginning with who we are at NJ5 PAC. NJ5 PAC is a grassroots, nonpartisan, and nonprofit political action committee. We are the first political action committee of its kind here in New Jersey. We were set up through the New Jersey Election Commission with the specific role to elevate the campaigns of candidates that align with our mission. NJ5 PAC's mission is to protect and strengthen the constitutionally guaranteed and fundamental rights of all New Jersey residents to make medical decisions for themselves and their families without coercion or undue constraint. In short, we are here to preserve parental rights and health freedoms for every New Jerseyan across the state. Political action committees are an extension of the democratic process and can work greatly in our favor. When issues in current events around parental rights, the use of medical devices such as masks in school, and the coercion around vaccines are becoming a reoccurring discussion at the dinner table, there is incredible value in having a PAC to help represent and affect these issues in Trenton politics. The PAC gives our community a seat at the political table and allows for us as a community to pool our resources and strategically influence key areas of New Jersey politics using the only two currencies that matter in politics, dollars and votes. Becoming a part of and supporting NJ5 PAC with your donations is how we collectively get stronger and build success with our issues. Next, moving on to point B, what is the NJ5 PAC endorsement? NJ5 PAC has developed a set of standards to measure whether a political candidate is eligible to receive an endorsement. This includes, but is not limited to, completion of the NJ5 PAC survey, their voting records, and their positions on matters that affect our mission and that of their opponents. When NJ5 PAC endorses a candidate, that endorsement is done with integrity and measurement without bias. Our goal is to provide transparency around the candidates who meet this criteria and be a resource to New Jersey voters in the 2021 election year and beyond. Our efforts provide inputs around where your votes and support are warranted. When you see the NJ5 PAC Gold Seal endorsement, you can rest assured that this is the best candidate for our collective mission. Our previous and future endorsements can be found on our website at www.nj5pac.org/endorsements. All right, now let's bring the LD5 candidates on and get started.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Felicia Malelli, Board Chair for NJ5 PAC, and I'm excited to announce tonight's newest endorsement for NJ5 PAC. That's the Legislative District 5 Senate candidate Clyde Cook, Assembly candidates Sean Sepsey and Sam DiMatteo. So welcome to you all. Thank you for joining us. tonight. This is the PAC Chat, and we're excited to have you here to introduce you to our community. To all of our viewers, these three candidates are running in Legislative District 5, and that again includes portions of Camden and Gloucester County. The towns cover, I'm going to butcher this, but Aberdeen Park, I'll let you guys correct me, Barrington, Belmar, Brooklawn, Camden, Deptford, Gloucester City, Haddon Heights, Harrison, Lawnside, Magnolia, Mount Priam, sorry, whose idea was this for me to read all these out? Westville, Woodbury, and Woodland. I'm sure I skipped a couple. You guys can fill us in. So let's get started on these questions so we can introduce you to these candidates and understand why we are endorsing them. So I'll start with you, Sean. We're going to start with some questions. We'll start with Sean. I'm sorry, Clyde, then Sean, and then Sam. We just wanted to see if you could tell us about yourself and about your professional business outside of politics and what made you enter politics. I think I have some feedback, so I apologize for that.
Of course, good evening. I just want to thank you guys for the invite this evening, and my other running mates for joining in with us and being able to come together and, gratefully be endorsed by this great organization. My name is Clyde Cook. I am running for New Jersey State Senate, Legislative District number 5. Of course, I got involved. I've been in the political arena for about 19 years. I was independent when I first started, turned Democrat, then Republican, and eventually went back to the Democratic Party and was elected as a councilman in the borough of Woodland. Prior to that, I got involved because I had a councilman at the time who became mayor, Mr. Frank Moran, walked with me through the neighborhoods of Camden. And I began to share some things with him as far as what I felt could be beneficial towards Camden. The only thing was Mr. Moran took my ideas and went back and put it on his website. When he put it on his website, he took it as his own. And of course, I felt some type of way. So I went down to City Hall, and the first question I asked was, what can I do to run for public office? At the time, the individual said, well, why you? And I said, well, why not me? And of course, they looked at what I was wearing, which was pretty much street clothes. I didn't have a suit or a tie. I was dressed in street clothes. And of course, it singled me out to be part of the environment of Camden, which was negative. But, I don't believe in judging a book by its cover. You have to open up the book and actually read what's inside the book. So, of course, I ran for office unsuccessfully as a at-large, and eventually I ran for an at-large position, and then I ran my last stint as mayor before I became a councilman in Woodland, where I was successful. It wasn't easy. It was hard. As I, campaign out on these streets, I tell people, the things that I was told to do, which was keep my mouth closed, do what I'm told, and vote yes. Well, I don't answer to the status quo, and I made that quite clear to them. I answer to my constituents who, I serve. They placed me into office to do a job, and I would rather do the job to the best of my ability. So that's what got me involved. I wanted to make a difference in my environment, my kids' environment. I wanted to be something positive and productive in my community. I wanted to set an example that we don't have to settle for the crumbs that's being offered to us or the handouts, but that we can empower each other, to have a better quality way of life.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. How about we move to you, Sean?
All right. So my name's Sean Sepsey. I've been involved in public service probably since I was 12. I joined an organization with the police department called the Police Explorer Program. I did that until I aged out. I was then appointed onto our township's recreation committee which, our primary focus was doing local events and giving back to the seniors. And then from there, I felt like, I needed to do more. I kind of hit that glass ceiling of how I can help out the public. So, I ran for local office last year. I'm in a township that's 3-1 Democrat, with 14,000 voters, and we only lost by 199 votes. So I'm also the co-chair of the Gloucester County Young Republicans and the chair of my township's Republican committee. And then professionally, I work in education. I've done that for 6 years, which is kind of a hot topic this year with everything. I know that's when I got the call for this, it's right up my alley, because that's, what I've been dealing with. It's why I decided to run. So I'm proud to be and happy to be on with you all.
Thank you. Thank you both for your service. And yeah, you're exactly right. The teaching is a hot topic. Are you you're in school, like in classroom teacher?
Yeah, so I don't teach. I do I'm a support staff, so an IT administrator. So, when everything was remote last year, our job was kind of 24 hours. My job, like I said, primarily is for the students, as a support for the students and the faculty and staff.
Yeah, so you've been directly affected for sure. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thanks for sharing that. Mm-hmm. Sam?
Thank you first for having us here. And my name's, again, Sam DiMatteo. I'm running for the Assembly in the 5th District. My professional job is I'm a criminal defense attorney. I do a lot of court-appointed work, so I give back to the community that way too. I have run for town council in my town in Barrington 3 times unsuccessfully in the past. But during that time, I've also been involved in all the sports activities in the area. I have a 20-year-old and a 16-year-old that played sports all in the community here, and I've been the president of Little League over the years. My town is mostly a Democrat-controlled town where once somebody wants to move on to something else, they appoint somebody and then he gets elected. So we need to have some kind of. I got involved because I thought we needed another point of view that was not the point of view of the people that were already in power.
Great. So. Yeah. Well, that's what it's all about. It's lifting up when you see the threshold and saying, it can be better. So thank you all for your you stepping up as often as a lot of people are this year. I'm sure you're seeing that as well, but it's a true inspiration for your efforts. Thank you. So going to move on to some deeper questions for you three. And I'm going to start with one question that I want to ask all of you. Recently, we saw Governor Murphy place yet another executive order to bring new contracted workers in line with the vaccine and testing requirements surrounding vaccine mandates. We also know that Governor Murphy would like to make New Jersey the California of the East Coast. That's been said by him himself. As recently as last night, insider information revealed that Murphy plans to mandate vaccines across the state once the election is over. Please enlighten our community from your perspective. What will 4 more years with Governor Murphy look like in regards to health freedom? Again, Clyde, can we start with you?
Well, I will say 4 more years of going the direction that Murphy wants us to go in would not be beneficial to me, to you, to anybody that is trying to, live a normal life. Mandating the mandation of everything that he's trying to do is not going to be helpful to us, because at the end, it's only putting us at a point where, not just our rights are taken away, but you're talking about our children's rights as well, because this is what it's trickling down to. It's just a lot that's not being told, behind the scenes. But, the thing is I'm 100% pro-choice. I believe that it's up to the individual to determine whether or not they want to be mandated, not mandated, but if they want the shot or if they don't want the shot. and it's up to the jobs of the parents whether or not they want their children to have, the shot. I don't believe that government should play a part as far as mandating anything against anybody's free will to do what they need to do. I mean, at the end of the day, I believe we all as adults understand what the consequences are, whether we have the shot or we don't have the shot. And we can live with those consequences because it's our body. It's, and who is someone to tell us, even if it's the government, what to do with our body? There's just so many different things that, we have to look at as far as consequences, because you do have some people who have taken the shot and they're getting the side effects that, they weren't expecting to get. Some people are even dying, that have taken the shot, and the shot hasn't reassured that an individual will not catch COVID. There are people that have been vaccinated that have caught it. Now, you do have those individuals who haven't had the shot, but through mandation, I just feel that is wrong. It's just taking away someone's right to make that decision, what they, feel, what would be best for them, their body. And when it comes to parents dealing with their children, which, is trickling down where they're trying to come up with an excuse for kids to now be vaccinated, it's up to the parents to make that decision, not the government. I think the government should find another way of going about doing things than to mandate things. There's so many other things we need to mandate other than this shot.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's clear we're on the same page with that. What we're seeing when all of this came about in our community, there was concerns that there would be a mandate or a vaccine passport. And what we're seeing instead is this peeling back the onion of mandates. So it's not going to be this massive mandate, and it's coming slowly and little by little, setting mandates such as this most recent one, into place. And so it's not as obvious to some people. So the news that came out last night and, having you guys on is a great way to show our community and the people of New Jersey what 4 more years could look like. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Sean, what do you think 4 more years are going to look like? Go ahead.
I think four more years is just look back at the last 4 years of what we've gone through. And if you were to ask me if we would still be in 2 more weeks to flatten the curve, I'd say you're crazy. We're still seeing that Murphy piece by piece has put more regulation on us, even though you'd think it's asinine and how would anyone comply, and you're seeing what he's gotten away with. So now with zero repercussions, if he gets reelected, I think we're going to see, the gloves come off and, like you said, vaccine mandates, vaccine passports. These are all things. There's nothing really stopping him from doing it. And not that I want to press fear, but for me, I'm not vaccinated. I work in the public sector, and the reason why I don't think we should be, I'm not ashamed to say I'm not vaccinated. I think that people who aren't vaccinated kind of keep it hidden, and they don't want to let anyone know because they're afraid of the repercussions. I know personally there are a lot more of us out there, and I'm not proposing that a vaccine's a bad thing by any means. I do my own research. I've had COVID twice. I don't have any underlying conditions. Someone who might have underlying conditions might, read the facts in front of them and decide that, they should be vaccinated. So that's their choice. I'm just concerned about what's coming next. And personally, I'm concerned for my job, whether or not that mandate is coming. Because right now we have a mandate in testing, which by the way, which is kind of funny. I'm not sure if you know this, but schools are required to be vaccinated or be tested. Well, the state of New Jersey couldn't find a vendor to issue the testing in a lot of school districts. So they were forced to roll that back. We're on our 2nd week now, where even though we had till October 18th, they're not mandating us to get vaccinated because they can't find a vendor, or to get tested because they can't find a vendor to do the test. So it's just another reason about, state government's inefficient. They can't even manage this right. So, I'm just hoping with a Governor Chitterelli in there that, this is all going to turn around.
From your mouth to God's ears. Yeah, what you said is what clicked into mind is something we've talked about internally, and it's just that the segregation that will be based on, the path you take if moving forward, what 4 more years could look like is just that type of segregation where you have, vax have to enter here and unvax can enter here, or they can no longer participate in certain activities, which is furthering our divide tremendously. When we were hoping, most of us hope that we want this to just settle and end and come together and move on. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Sam?
Well, I guess first, I think that I think he's legislating too much from his perch by using these executive orders. I think that they should be used sparingly, and they should end at some period of time. There should be, if it's an emergency, then it's for 21 days or something, where the legislature has some say in how that goes forward, so that we can have some debate about what type of going forward we want to do. And I think with 4 more years, we're not going to see that kind of debate, because he's just going to keep legislating from his executive office instead of allowing the legislatures to do that job, which is what they're elected to do, and they're failing to do. Again, on the shots, I think if someone wants to get the vaccine, then it should be available to them. If you don't want to get it, there shouldn't be any repercussions because you didn't get it. Eventually, the best immunity to me, at least in my theory, is building it on your own, not through the vaccine. So like people that have had it, they probably have better immunity to it than the rest of us. And then obviously, if you can keep getting it over and over again, how is the vaccine really going to, is it really in the long run helping us, or is it hurting us? So I don't know the answer to that question, but you can't legislate that everybody has to have it if the science doesn't really say that you should have it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see what the next 4 years looks like if Governor Murphy is reelected. As it's been for the last several years, he's controlled the entire Senate and Assembly, basically. That whole Democratic party on both sides have basically given up all of their rights and said, here, you make the decision.
And he's just doing it from his office, going, okay, this is the new rules.
Yeah. So I would love to see, I trust the system, and that's why I and my board, we decided let's form a PAC, because we think the system can work when it runs effectively, and it's, not lined up the way it's supposed to be right now. So
yeah, well, you have to have some kind of debate, and we don't have debate because he's making his own decisions without any legislative oversight or even responsibility.
No input. Yep. He just is deciding what's happening. So yeah, there's a lot that needs to get fixed. Katie, you want to add to that?
Yeah, just 2 comments, because you brought it up, Sam. One is, I'm not obviously the reason why he has the power to do it is because they passed this bill a few months back. We were all there in Trenton rallying. There was like 1,000 of us. It was a very chaotic day, and they passed the bill, and they posed it. It was like a smoke and mirrors sort of thing. They posed it as, let's end the pandemic, let's end the emergency, blah 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 blah. And so everybody was like, why are the Republicans opposing this? Why don't they want to end the emergency? But the Republicans were saying, yeah, we want to end it, but we're not ending it by also giving Governor Murphy like 14 executive order powers that he gets to keep when there's no longer an emergency. So that was the biggest fail. And I feel like every Democratic legislator who voted on that bill should have their feet to the fire, because that's why we're in this mess. And Jamel Hawley, who is a Democrat, he just came out today, I think, basically like saying Governor Murphy should no longer have the right to use these executive order powers because of what he's doing. it's insane. Like it's absolutely. And then the second thing, Sam, I wanted to mention, I'm not sure, but there's an Assemblyman Brian Bergen, who put forth a bill exactly basically stating what you just stated, that there should be checks and balances, that when we're in an emergency order situation, like there should be checks and balances. It should have a limit, like, and the legislature should be involved in reviewing what's being put out. And I think his wasn't even 21 days, it was 14 days. But
Okay.
you know, it's very hard when you're the minority to get these things through, unfortunately.
That is true.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so we're gonna move on to looking ahead, and in respect to your candidacy when you're elected. What are some of the issues that you say get you out of bed in the morning? What are the first priorities that you want to implement, things that you want to implement when you become elected? As newcomers to the legislature, I'm sure that your constituents will be voicing how they have been affected by the current policies. If you could also tell us, again, what your first priority would be in Legislative District 5. Start with you, Clyde.
Well, of course, the biggest issue that everybody here in the state of New Jersey is facing is the high taxes we have here. With the property tax being high, I live in the borough of Woodland, where we are number one when it comes to the highest tax rate in the state of New Jersey. And, folks, unfortunately, we don't have a whole bunch of amenities or any type of businesses. So everything is solely on the homeowners to pay the property tax. And, part of the excuse that, the governing body where I live say is the taxes are high and the mayor will blame it on the schools. Well, everything is not the schools. The can of responsibility is constantly kicked down the road by both, I will say both parties. I'm not going to solely say Democrats, even though the majority of those legislators are Democrats. But we have to pick up the can and we have to come to some type of reasoning, to create a solution to the problems of these high taxes. Of course, I've heard both candidates. Phil basically tells you if you're not happy with the taxes, to move out the state. And, Citarelli, he has stated that he wants to look at the school formula to see if we can adjust some of the school formula to lower the taxes. Of course, me being a former sitting councilman, I've seen things when it comes to the budget. I've seen the good old boys get together at the beginning of the year and award each other at the end of the year. And I just feel that if you want to lower these high taxes that we have here, we have to focus on the corruption that is within these municipalities, which is one reason why I am 100% in trying to push for some type of forensic audit to take place in these municipalities so that we can get down to where every nickel, dime, and cent is how is it being spent. I more so want something that's going to be random, because you can catch someone off guard and really get down to the nitty gritty of who's doing what throughout the state of New Jersey when it comes to all these municipalities and where your money goes. Where I am, I have a mayor that's making over $80,000 a year, holding multiple positions and hiring family members. And, it's the keep it in the family thing that we don't need. It's the good old boys washing hands with one another and not caring about the needs of the people. So the property tax is the biggest issue that we need to attack. But the best way you can attack it and getting it where we need to have it is we got to bring accountability back into play and hold, these municipalities and government officials accountable. These elected officials have to be accountable, because at the end of the day, it's about providing a better quality way of life for your constituents, not working against your constituents and causing and creating hardship. Because you got to keep in mind, high taxes are causing people to have to leave out of the state. And the main person to suffer are our elderly people, our disabled, and our veterans. So, we have to, look at a different direction of being able to achieve lowering these taxes. And that's one of the things that I worry about every day, because whether you're a homeowner, a renter, or somebody that is, in some type of retirement home, if the taxes are so high and they rise, it's going to cause the cost of how you live to go up. And it's not right.
Yeah, I'm sure your constituents are, grateful for having you as a candidate, because that is the top issue for everyone across the state. We see it in every district. It is the top issue. Our taxes are high here in New Jersey, and people are leaving. And we often see that, it's that at the top, but there's underlying issues underneath. And for many of the people leaving, we're seeing them with the Republican Party because of some of these other issues, such as health freedom and our issue. So when all of these people are leaving, which I call bleeding, we want to stop the bleed here in New Jersey, but they're leaving because of taxes and not being able to send their kids to school, with the parental rights being stripped away. And if everyone keeps leaving, there's going to be less and less hope for solidifying the state with the issues that we, the way we see it fit, and having the right candidates put in, and potentially having a majority in the Senate and the Assembly on these issues. So that's great. I'm sure it's a very welcomed initiative.
Yes.
Yeah. Sean?
Yeah, so I think you'll probably hear an echo chamber from all of us here, but the taxes are a big issue. I know in Harrison Township, Mantua, Woodland, Winona, the tax burden on a lot of those communities in our district, for the schools, the local schools, our taxes go to 68% of that goes to the schools. So when we're hearing now talk about a new school funding formula, from the governor's race, that really needs to happen in our district. It takes up a huge portion of our tax burden. And another thing, a part of that, to stay on the topic of the schools, the thing that kind of motivates me, which you're seeing rising in school board races around the state right now, is that bringing control away from the state back to the local school boards to make decisions, to let the local school boards make decisions on what's best for the kids. We're seeing a state push for critical race theory and sex education for young kids. That needs to be a decision based off the school board. What we're finding now is parents go to school board meetings and they, are frustrated with what's going on, but it's a mandate issued by the state, and the school board is having their hands tied, and it's unfortunate. So the good news out of that is we're seeing a lot of people interested in school board races. I know in my hometown of Mantua, we've never had people run for school board. It's always the incumbents, and we have 3 seats open this year, and we have 7 people running for those seats. So I'm helping 3 of those candidates this year win, and they're just frustrated parents and individuals to see what's going on. And we really need to push that from the top down in the legislature, and really, put the power is best held in the local hands. Local people know what's best. Your mayors and council know what's best for their people. To an issue coming from the state, or even going further to the federal government, we really need, as legislatures, need to advocate for local control.
Yes. Well, absolutely. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Sam?
Not to pile on that, but I agree with the taxes are a major issue. And, lots and lots of businesses. New Jersey's not a very business friendly place. We need to make it more friendly to businesses. We need to bring businesses back. We need to get small businesses to be growing in this state, and the taxes are part of that problem. But also we need to work on our infrastructure. I mean, I know we talk that we added this tax a couple of years ago on gas, but I don't see them fixing the roads that need to be repaired. I see, the big roads like 295 is being repaired, but in my town, and runs right through our district, is Clenchbridge Road, and I drive on it every day, and it's probably one of the worst roads in South Jersey, along with the Whitehurst Pike. They need to be repaired. They need to be upgraded so that that if we do get businesses to come back, that people can go to work and get their kids to school and get get from here to there. So there are the two things that I would be focusing on in the beginning.
Yeah, excellent. Great answer. Thank you. Okay, so thank you for sharing that. And I'm going to pass you back to Katie for some quick fire fun questions.
All right, guys. I guess the way I'll do this is I have 7 questions, and we'll just go like round robin, exactly like we've been doing. So the first one is, and Clyde, you'll be on deck to answer first. Who is your favorite music artist?
Oh boy, you're gonna get me in trouble. I would say my favorite music artist, I would say, is Monica. I enjoy her music. It's very soothing.
Very good. Very good. Sean?
Yeah, so I'm going old school. I like good old Dean Martin with Frank Sinatra at number 2.
I feel like the pasta is boiling and the red wine is flowing with that.
Yeah.
Very nice. And Sam?
I would have to say probably Eric Clapton. I like the rhythm and the blues of the 60s and 70s rock music.
It's like one of the best guitarists ever. Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, next question, Clyde, to you. What's the last book you read?
The last book I've read, wow, the Bible. I'm a pastor, so the Bible is the last book that I'm always reading.
It never ends. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Sean?
Yeah, so funny enough, The Pendulum, if you ever read it, it's about history repeating itself every now and again. We're kind of seeing history repeating itself, a prime example. So.
Oh, interesting. I'll have to check that out. And Sam?
So the last book I read was, believe it or not, 1984. Every couple of years I go back and read it, but right now I'm actually in the process of reading the book The Sun by Felipe Myers.
Why do you reread it?
It's one of those books that I enjoy reading. It reminds me that what we as a society we stand for, that free will and making your own decisions, and that what you think in your head belongs to you, not to anybody else.
I love that. I have a book like that. That for me, that's The Lord of the Flies. I feel like I've read that so many times. All right. Our next question. Will you be taking advantage of early voting? Why or why not? That's to you, Clyde.
Could you repeat that question? Because we kind of faded out there for a second.
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to put you on mute. Will you be taking advantage of early voting? Why or why not?
No, I will not take advantage of
We lost our connection with you, Clyde. You may have to drive to the other side of the street. All right, we'll put him on pause. We'll come back when he gets better connections. So, Sean, you wanna answer that for us?
Yeah, so I already voted. A lot of my time now until election day is to push people to get out to vote. If people have their minds made up, I encourage them to vote as soon as possible. So, yes.
Okay. And Sam?
I have not, and to be honest, until just now, I hadn't even thought about it. But I may do that. But I will then be working, going around to make sure that I get to all these locations, so that if people are voting, at least I can introduce myself to them.
That's a great idea. 10 days of early voting started on Saturday, all the way to Halloween. So we know who's taking advantage of that, right?
Yes.
Oh, there he is. Clyde, you're back?
Paid
Oh,
it
wait,
off. I'm hoping that I did get my answer.
I didn't get your answer. You got to say it again.
Now, when it comes to early voting, I'm 100% against it. I'm not too enthused with the vote by mail, and I'm not too enthused with the early voting process because I just believe that it's a lot.
I feel like the powers that be don't want him to answer this. They're like, no. Oh, no.
Keeping him quiet. Well, he'll come back on. I'll bring him down so he can.
Yeah. He's good. Okay, perfect. So we'll move to the next one. Favorite New Jersey vacation spot, Sean?
Oh, down the shore, Ocean City for sure. We've been going there every year when I was a kid, and still go there, make day trips now. So definitely Ocean City. No other beach in New Jersey.
It's such a cute. I drove there randomly. My parents live sort of close to there. I drove there randomly with my kids in the winter. We had like a sunny day, and I just let them run on the beach. They were like, "This place is great." They loved it.
Beautiful.
And Sam?
I would have to say Cape May. It's quaint. It's reminds me of the old villages. Reminds me of sort of like Haddonfield, which is the next town over from where I live. Seems so homey. So that I would say Cape May. And they have some nice breweries and wineries.
Yes. Yeah, we vacationing there once every summer, my family. It's beautiful. All right, Clyde, let's catch you up. So give us your answer on the why you're not voting early.
I choose not to vote early because I believe that the electional process, there's more being done behind closed doors than the actual truth being told. It's just a lot that happens here in our county, and me firsthand being a Democrat and now being a Republican, understanding the nature of the party and how they work, and past elections where I've sat up there and I had, we have our own police department, but the 1 year I ran, they called in the county sheriffs worrying that I was going to win an election and informing people, to stay away from the polls and striking fear in them because they felt that if the election didn't turn out in my favor, that, things would go wrong. I say that and saying, the electional process is just very, very tricky. And, sometimes it doesn't always come out favorable for us when we can't vote in person versus vote by mail and early voting.
Yeah. Yeah, this year there is a vote in person early option. 10 days of it, it's just started on the 23rd. So from the 23rd to the 31st. But there are people who still have reservations like yourself. So thanks for giving your side to that.
Thank you.
And then the other question that we already went through too is what's your favorite New Jersey vacation spot?
Cape May. I like Cape May.
I'm outnumbered.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I like the beach. I like the scenery. I like the people around. No.
All right, we'll keep going. Our next question is going to be how do you like to relax and unwind, Sean?
Oh, I'm an outdoorsman. So I hike. So after this election, I'll be going on a trip. So that's kind of me. I'm working in technology. I work, this a lot. So I want to be working my physical body, and hiking's how I kind of unwind.
Awesome. And Sam?
I usually try to spend time with my friends. People in my neighborhood. I try to hang out with my neighbors and my two kids. That's kind of how I unwind.
Love it. Okay. Our next question is, what is your favorite food? Sean?
You can't go wrong with pizza, right? I mean, I'm a foodie, so I like everything, so I'm not really too picky, but pizza is always a good go-to, and we live in the pizza capital of the world, so you got to take advantage.
Yes. And Sam?
Yeah, I was going to go with a pepperoni pizza, but I think I'm going to go with a pulled pork sandwich.
Switch it up a little bit.
Yes. I work, my office is in Cinnaminson, and I'm right next to a restaurant called the Whistler Inn, and they have what they tell me is one of the oldest smoke houses in the country that is still active. And they make pulled pork and spare ribs, and I can smell them in my office, and boy, are they delicious.
Awesome. So definitely not a vegetarian or vegan, anywhere
No.
in sight there. I love smoked meat. Yeah, it's good stuff. And Clyde, you're back. So what's your favorite food?
My favorite food is steak, mashed potatoes, and corn.
I like
So
that. No hesitation.
If I was on death row, yes, that's what I would order.
You've thought about this before, clearly.
Yes.
Awesome. And then the last question to the three of you, and we'll start with you, Clyde, since the internet keeps kicking you off. Will you be a lifelong New Jersey resident?
Well, I will put it like this. About 25 years ago, I migrated from New York here to New Jersey, and I love the state. I believe that the state has a lot to offer, but it all
always when it's getting good. All right, Sean, you're up.
Yeah, so that's what this election's all about. Is the, I'm young. I got a lot of time to stay in this state. So, I'm working as hard as I can to make sure I can stay in this state. A lot of people who I work with talk about how when they retire, they're moving to another state, and they name South Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, which all happens to be red states, which are tax friendly. So I'm pushing for that. I love South Jersey. We always have that fight. I represent South Jersey. Yeah. So when people say you're from New Jersey, I don't like the bad stereotype that we get from the North. No offense, but yeah, I would love to live here for the rest of my life.
And Sam?
Well, that's the plan. I've been here for 53 years. All my family's here. Most of my friends are here. So I'd like to make it a nicer place to live, and for me and for them. So that's why, we need to get people out to vote and get them to, if they don't like what's going on in this state, which most of us are complaining about, we need to get out and vote and change that.
Yes. Yes. And Clyde, I'll give you, are you going to be a lifelong New Jersey resident? You were telling us how you migrated.
Well, hopefully I don't get cut off. My plans is basically on, pretty much sitting down with my wife and discussing which way things go long term. My desire is to be here in New Jersey. I do have family that are elsewhere, so I don't have any family that's really tied me to the state other than the family that I have adopted as far as family and friends here. Friends that have become family here, like Sean and Sam. So
Oh, poor guy. I feel like the internet's not on his side today. We'll get him back. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and move to wrap up. And then once I'm done wrapping up, I'm going to offer you all the last word. All right. So there you have it to our viewers. That's an up close and personal with Legislative District 5 candidates. Senate candidate Clyde Cook, Assembly candidates Sean Sepsey and Sam DiMatteo. We hope you can see how important the success of their candidacy is for health freedom in the state of New Jersey. If you want to help protect and strengthen those freedoms, you must become active. If you want change, then we must support change. And that would be these three candidates. There are several ways you can do that, and I'm going to give you my perspective on two. Number one, become a recurring contributor to NJ5 PAC. And number two, get out and vote. Why should you contribute to NJ5 PAC? we need your help to secure the right candidates like these guys in these seats. As a grassroots PAC, every single hour we put into our work is purely voluntary time. We know the currency in politics to make a splash, to get a seat at the table, is dollars and votes. We need to build our contributor base. If you are sitting here thinking to yourself, someone else will donate or I will donate later, I know I have those thoughts myself. I want to leave you with this. How are you contributing to the preservation of health freedom in New Jersey? We invite you to contribute to our efforts so we can pool our resources and make the splash we need to really affect New Jersey politics and election outcomes. In the eyes of the legislature, donors equals voters. No contribution is too small to help get our donor base up. Consider signing up to be a monthly contributor to NJ5 PAC for just $5 a month and have your monthly contribution send a message to Trenton that this community is cohesive and not backing down. The health freedom movement has grown exponentially through the pandemic. We need to show that through our membership and contributions, we deserve a seat at the table. We are asking you to help us show the New Jersey State Legislature what a large voting bloc we really are. Go to www.nj5pac.org and please consider donating today. And the number 2, vote. Early voting has begun as of Saturday, October 23rd, in every county. Get your votes in early this year and consider encouraging others to do the same. The last gubernatorial election had about a 31% voter turnout. That is less than a third of voters, eligible voters, coming out to vote. If we want change and we want Jack to win this race, we must take advantage of the early voting at the poll because we know who else is. Murphy. Clyde, Sam, Sean, we appreciate you and support you. I would like to give all 3 of you the floor for a last word and closing remarks to our audience with this final question in mind, starting with Clyde. In your own words, what does medical freedom mean to you?
Medical freedom means to me is having the right to be able to choose what doctor you can go to, what procedures you can have done without there being any roadblocks that's put in front of you. Being able to have the choice to, basically decide what you can do with your body because your body belongs to you, whether it be, what shots you have to take or what procedure you have to have done, or, being able to, make the choice whether or not, a person wants to live or die, or, be able to express themselves in any way where they feel that, nobody can make that decision when it comes to what happens with their life. It's totally up to them. That's pretty much what I feel what it is to have the freedom to be able to make the choice that you want to make containing to your own body.
Thank you. Sean.
Yeah, so I think it's simple for me. It's my livelihood, my job, a lot of other people advocating for people's livelihoods and jobs. We shouldn't have to worry about whether or not we can stay living in a state or in a society as to whether or not we take a certain medicine. To constantly have that fear of worrying about that, people pulling their kids out of school and having to home kids their school because they're worried about a vaccine mandate or a mask mandate. It's something that a lot of parents are dealing with all across the state, and it's something that shouldn't happen. So it's really all about freedom. If you're someone who might be, on the left or a liberal, think back to being a Kennedy Democrat, where you can say, you know, what you're a classical liberal. Government shouldn't have any responsibility, any right to tell you what you can do with your livelihood or your body. You know, it's your job as a personal individual. And just to say, as far as voting goes, because I know we touched on it, early voting, if you're going to decide not to vote, you reelected Phil Murphy. If you decide to vote right in a third-party candidate, you're going to reelect Phil Murphy, and we're going to be dealing with the same thing for the next 4 years. So it's very important for people to get out and vote, and whatever we can do to help in the 5th district, you know, please let us know.
And Sam.
Not to reiterate, but I agree with Clyde. It's more my idea of it is that you should have the right to decide which doctors you go to and when you go to them and whether you want to be treated by them. If they tell you what, you know, that how you deal with your body is your own issue. And you and the doctor should sit down. It shouldn't be mandated by the government. It shouldn't be mandated by insurance companies. That should be between you and your doctor. That's what I think medical freedom to me is. But to reiterate what Sean said is, yeah, if you don't go out and vote, you have reelected Phil Murphy. And if you want change, which everybody keeps saying they do, then we need to get that vote out. And we need to get it out starting today, yesterday, and tomorrow. And come November 2nd, we'll hopefully have enough votes.
Yes. Like Felicia said, from your lips to God's ears. Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's been lovely chatting with you this evening. I'm sure some people were listening to us on their commute home or chopping their vegetables for dinner. But we're so grateful that we fit this in and so happy to provide an endorsement to all three of you, which will be published shortly. Thank you so much.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And happy birthday,
Thank you,
Sean.
guys.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So the PAC put together a video that we're going to share on our exit. So I hope everyone tunes in to watch that. Have a good evening. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations on your endorsement.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I always thought I would vote for Phil Murphy. I believed that my family would be kept safe. I trusted that he would honor my choice when it comes to my body. I trusted that the small business my immigrant parents opened 40 years ago would be protected and thrive under his leadership. I believed his public health policies would be educational and progressive. I never thought that as a nurse, I would be forced to do something against my beliefs or face termination. I trusted that he would be transparent and forthcoming with the data that drives his policies.
I want to see his science and data. We've been asking for that since last March. There is none.
I never imagined that he would be so dismissive of my concerns and those of my neighbors. I believed he would lead this state with consideration for all people and do so with kindness and respect.
These folks back there have lost their mind. You've lost your minds.
When I voted for Phil Murphy 4 years ago, I had no idea that this is what I would be getting, and I refused to waste my vote on 4 more years of his failed promises.